Good day, this is part 2 of our video on the DoD fiscal year 2023 budget. On returning to space projects that could be funded instead of war, and to supplement what wouldn't be allowed if we kept defense spending to 0.7% in the out years. A closed-loop environmental system should be explored. It should be human-occupied. It should not be a dry run, so there shouldn't be parameters on success. Food can come in, energy can come in. You can use O2 generators. The point is that you start with something. Set up a habitat and add things, subtract things, add features, and see what comes up. Another one is cloned meat. You have to also, we've cloned protein, and then they added a bunch of stuff to it that really made it really taste bad. Instead, you've got to clone blood and bone and fat, and then mix them together, spin them together appropriately, and don't rely on vegan high glycemic index foods to make it look red, or no beet juice or anything like that. And see what happens with that. Also, a small crew geosynchronous system should be planned. Missions first, then stations, and of course space debris capture. Do all these things, not right away, although right away we should be starting them. There's a long lead time. What a difference a year makes. I had said in my NASA comments from last year to bring in more space, that cooperation, international cooperation, will be part of it. And what a year makes. What a thing a year makes. Putin's society wanted to kill his military invading Ukraine, and as long as he doesn't use nukes, I think that'll be enough that we've heard from Vladimir Putin. I don't think his military is gonna, and his population is going to want him around much longer. So, although a population must free itself, it can never be freed. But Ukraine needs to be rebuilt, and so does Russia's civil society. It never really has been built. They went from, or the economy, they've gone from commissars to an authoritarian Putin, and oligarchs. So it's really not ever gotten to that point. We can start with space and build out from there. With cooperation, and help the Soviets rebuild their military with a democratic culture, so that they would do what our military did when faced with an attempted coup. Our military said, no, we're not participating in that, and we will make sure that doesn't happen, frankly. The Russian military needs the same standard of professionalism, and their government as well. And our inroad is to do space, and also build up their physical and economic infrastructure. Just as we have to keep building our infrastructure with space spending, also the Soviets, or the Russians, they're not Soviets anymore. One part of that, though, is no nukes. They really need to disarm almost totally, let them into NATO, and disarm most of ours as well. Even as the world's policeman, we don't need as many as we have. And if we don't target the Russians, and probably not the Chinese either, because we'd be, getting rid of our major manufacturing if we did. There's no reason we need nuclear weapons to any great extent. And Russians definitely don't need them. It makes getting rid of a third world dictator too complicated for them to have it. So, so there are a few attachments that I will link to, one on the budget process and one on budget process and reporting. That as I've done a video on that on congressional reports. One thing I'd like to add is that there should be a joint budget, to my joint budget committee proposal, that there should be 3 subcommittees: revenue, civil appropriations, and then defense and space. It would have the chairs and ranking members and some members from armed services subcommittees and the appropriations defense subcommittees. They would agree on a top line number. And then after that's agreed to, work on a joint defense budget or a resolution, so that it could take effect with automatic appropriations, as we've described. But they would work on the correct subcommittees would work on a combined appropriation and authorization. They need to work together, and then if they don't perform, if things aren't passed by a specific date certain, sometime ahead of the August recess, then you would create a joint select committee to finish the work, discharge the markups from each committee, and just negotiate it. Assume that they're passed and treat it like a conference committee. That's, they didn't see a world empire, but if we're going to have one, we've got to fund it appropriately and quickly. We owe this to our warfighters, to their supporting civil servants, to contractors, and to all of their families. We can't continue to budget like we've been budgeting. So, thus endeth our testimony. I thank you very much for your attention. And there will be the usual information in the description. Have a pleasant day.